Thank you, that's all.
It's now clear to the Commission that Beaujolais and Thompson's last-minute attempts to stop the launch were overruled, and that NASA's senior management made the final decision. Feynman is convinced that the engineers were right and that the cold is at the root of the problem. Following the New York Times revelations, the Commission is big news.
Professor, can I have a minute?
Well, I really have to go.
It is February 11, 1986, 2 weeks after the Challenger explosion. In the full glare of the media, Feynman begins hatching a plan to put NASA itself on trial.
Could I have a glass of iced water, please?
Of course, I'll get that right away.
I would like to call the Commission to order, please.
Morden Thiokol provides segments of the rubber O-ring for the commissioners to inspect.
Our request that we were able to discuss.
It is NASA's manager of the solid rocket booster projects, Larry Malloy's turn to testify.
With officials from NASA.
You have a look in your eye that suggests to me you're up to something.
Oh, I have a little experiment in mind.
With the media watching closely, the Nobel Prize winner is about to use a high school experiment to demonstrate the fatal design flaw.
This rubber thing that is put in, the so-called O-ring, that is supposed to expand to make contact with the metal underneath so that it makes a seal. Is that the idea?
Yes, sir.
And if it weren't there, if it weren't in contact at all and there was no seal at all, that would be a leak.
Yes, you will always push the putty through because the motor pressure is 900 psi nominally and 1,000 psi at max. And that putty will sustain about 200 psi.
Well, now, we couldn't put instead of this some sort of material like lead that when you squash it, it stays? It has to be that it expands back because there is a little bit of play in this joint and it has to be able to come back. I mean, it's a rubber material so that it comes back when you move a little and it stays in contact. Is that right?
Yes, sir.
This seal, in order to work correctly, it must be rubber, not something like lead.
Yes, sir.
Because when the seal moves a little bit, when there is vibration and pressures, it would lift the lead away, which the rubber expands in place?
Yes, sir.
So it's important that it have this property of expansion.
That is correct.
If this material weren't resilient for, say, a second or two, that would be enough to be a very dangerous situation.
Yes, sir.
I took this stuff that I got out of your seal and I put it in ice water. And I discovered that when you put some pressure on it for a while and then undo it, it doesn't stretch back. It stays the same dimension. In other words, for a few seconds at least, there is no resilience in this particular material when it's at a temperature of 32 degrees. I believe that has some significance for our problem.
It is a memorable moment. Feynman's simple experiment has made the technical problem easy for everyone to understand. But what is not easy to comprehend is why NASA allowed Challenger to launch. They knew the danger, took a calculated risk, and lost.